Digies cannot start on a better note than having our first keynote speaker joining us digitally. Ladies and gentlemen, we begin with a thought-provoking keynote address on clicks and misses, why storytelling matters, and broadcasting straight from Chicago. We have with us a leader who has over 30 years of transformative leadership experience, someone who has shaped brands across Europe, Asia, and North America. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed speaker, Mr. Deepak Subramanian, Managing Director, Unilever Food Solutions in North America. Can we give him a warm applause? And can we have Deepak online? Let me also mention at the end of his session, he's going to do a Q&A, and he will be choosing the best question to give away an amazing gift voucher. But I'm going to now leave the stage over, or rather the screen over to Deepak.
Good morning everybody, I hope you all can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can.
Okay, excellent. So, welcome to this session, and this is obviously a keynote for a day where you're going to hear a lot about digital technology, data, analytics. And as I was planning for this session, I thought that I would end up taking a bit of a contra view. And the contra view is, in a world of digitization, technology, I wanted to put the spot on why storytelling still matters for us to build amazing brands and irresistible brand experiences. As you heard in my introduction, I've been with Unilever for the last 30 years. My foundation experiences are in marketing, so I'm truly passionate about marketing and the impact that brands and marketers can have in the world. And I think this topic fits in with that passion and also fits in with my purpose as a leader, which is to inspire others to get to the goals and get to the utopia that they thought they couldn't reach. And this is an opportunity for me to share some of my learnings from my experiences to a wider audience. I hope you find it useful. So, as I kick off this presentation, my mind goes back to August 2001. I was a young brand manager working on my first advertising campaign ever with HUL. I was a brand manager on Kisan Jam. And this was the campaign that I did. And this was a campaign for the relaunch of Kisan. We were going to fortify it with calcium and make it a little bit more healthy to drive penetration and to unlock some of the barriers that mums had with the adoption of jam. This was way back almost 23 years ago. And my life, when I look back as a brand manager, was very simple. I had to make the famous 30-second TVC, put out one press ad, and then design one outdoor campaign. And then my job was done as a brand manager. I just thought, as out of interest and maybe for a laugh, I can share with you the campaign that I made. And I have one more video for you right at the end. I hope the video works.
Choosing your kid for breakfast again? New Kisan fruitcake jam with the goodness of a real fruit now has calcium, which butter doesn't have, for a great start every day.
Jam? Calcium?
New Kisan fruitcake jam
For a great start every day.
If I now fast forward to the life that all of you have, I know there are many marketers, many agency leaders in the room, and if I look at a typical campaign today, it's obviously very, very different from when I was a brand manager. And I just picked up this one slide for a Ben & Jerry campaign that we have in Germany. And you can see that digital campaigns, targeted outdoor, social media, display ads, YouTube bumper ads, the number of touch points, the amount of content that we have to create today as brand managers and as marketing folks has obviously exploded. And I'm sure most of you are dealing with this every day, so this comes as no surprise. So the big question that I pose to everybody, and I posed to myself as I was preparing for the session was, has everything changed? And yes, some things have changed, but what I truly believe is that not everything has changed, and that there are some foundational things that we can still do well in order to build brands in this multi-touch point era that we are living in. So what is the change context? and I just thought I'll paint out for you what has changed. From the supply side, that is from the media and the landscape, obviously three big things playing out. There is a convergence happening. So when I say convergence, I mean the world of entertainment and the world of shopping is now coming together, and you see the rise of a lot of walled gardens where people are trying to integrate and have one super app, which is called the convergence phenomena. Of course, there is fragmentation. There is a lot of touch points and a lot of options that are now available for marketers to publish. And of course, there is the role of AI, which is playing up now, and I think in the year of generative AI, the possibilities for content creation are enormous and real time. If I look at it from the demand side, from the consumer side, obviously personalization is key, and everybody wants to have their own version of the content whenever they choose to have it. And I think that has resulted in a situation where there is massive content and creator explosion, which of course all of you, I'm sure, are dealing and grappling with. From a marketer's perspective, the CMO's biggest pain point, I believe, is one of consistency. In this world of lots of touch points, lots of content, lots of creators, how do we then build consistent brand experiences and keep the brand really standing for what it's meant to stand over time? Over time, across touch points, between awareness building ads and performance building ads, and across all ranges of the architecture. Many of you, I'm sure, in the audience are dealing with complex brands with many parts to the architecture, and holding it all together is a very, very tough task. And I think that the glue that holds this all together, in my opinion, is actually the whole art of storytelling, so that the storytelling can then be built across this changed context and we can all continue to build strong and powerful brands. So for the remainder of my presentation, I'm just going to focus a little bit on some of my learnings on how to do this. And I think the reason for that is, if you look at this one statistic, and this is probably the only statistic you will see in my presentation, I have looked at this a lot, and this has sort of shaped a lot of my thinking. This was a piece of work that was done in 2023, which said that amongst all the different elements to the whole communication process, creative, brand, targeting, reach, and recency, can we explain what is the contribution of each through some analysis and through some regression work that Nielsen had done. And you can see that more than half of the impact that advertising in totality has on sales can be explained by the quality of the creativity. And this again reiterates why storytelling is so important, why creativity is so important. And in Unilever, we use this foundational construct of brand power. I'm not sure how many of you in the audience are aware of this, but this is literally the what brand managers in Unilever live and die by. And this is a metric that we get from Nielsen, which measures how a brand is tracking over time and what we have learned over time. And I believe that this is common, whether it was 2001 or whether it is in 2024, that strong brands are built on three key elements: being meaningful, being different, and being salient. And all of these are then linked to the act of storytelling, which is what I want to propose today. Whilst the rest of the day, all of you are going to be deep diving into a whole lot of technology and a whole lot of digital. So what is meaningful? And I think the thing that has really stood out for me is how do we as marketers move from marketing to nurturing, as I call it. And meaningfulness is built by doing two things. How can you meet the needs of consumers and give them things that are relevant to them? And how do you do this in a way that builds a lot of brand love? And after having cut my teeth a lot in running some of our biggest brands in Unilever in India and across the world, I have come to realize that that we can build meaningful brands by focusing on two things. In your in the category in which you play in, focus on product benefits that matter. Number two, define an environment or a social issue that resonates with your audience, and then develop a strong brand communication idea that can connect the two in a new and surprising way. And this typically then should stand the test of time. This is hard work, takes many years to do, and some of the biggest brands in the world have cracked this in a way that then helps us to deal with the complexity of the architecture and the touch points that are available. Let me just paint what this means for you, and I'm just taking a few brands to bring this alive for you. Take a brand like Nike. The product benefits that they offer are high athletic performance. The issues that they are trying to attach their performance with is the fact that all of us, normal people, not athletes, but normal people, all need a high level of motivation to keep going and to be active. And therefore the whole BCI came up of just do it. All of you are, I'm sure, super familiar with this. And the purpose of this brand has now been articulated as if you have a body, you're an athlete. And that has now inspired many, many years of consistent brand advertising, which all of us love to see. If I look at Coca-Cola, the product benefit is one of refreshment. The issue is how can we create an antidote to the stresses of modern life. Their brand communication idea is open happiness, and their purpose is to refresh the world. If I take a fantastic Unilever brand that does this in a really great way, Dove as a brand, I think the product is all about offering ultimate care for skin, for hair, in the different categories in which it plays. The issue that the brand addresses is the unrealistic beauty standards that are set by the beauty industry today. The brand communication idea that this brand has held on to now for almost 20 years is called Real Beauty. And the purpose of this brand is to change beauty from a source of anxiety to a source of confidence. So I just printed out and wrote down for you for 3 really big global brands, how product benefits, a social and environmental issue then get joined up by a long-term brand communication idea, which then starts to feed all the communication that this brand does. If I then move to being different, this is how do you stand out, how do you be unique in the clutter. Again, what I have learned over the years is, depending on the size of the brand, whether you're an incumbent leader brand or a standout challenger brand, there are different things you need to be doing. If you're a leader in the category, you need to be setting the trends. If you're a challenger in the category, then you need to be standing out and adopting some of the smaller benefits and doing this in a way which is very, very different. And again, if I pick up for the brands that I spoke to you about just now, Nike and Coke, these are big brands, so therefore they're the incumbents. So they can't go after smaller benefits and in the attempt of trying to stand out. They have to set the trends. And you can see, whether it be in the innovation portfolio or whether it be in the way they activate their brands, there are lots of things that they keep doing in order to set the trends, to be the first ever. I love this example of being the first ever hands-free shoe. If one of you can go online, or some of you can go online and see it, it's an absolutely fantastic innovation, which helps this brand remain at the forefront of the offerings in the shoe category. Coke, all of us are familiar with, be it the Share Coke campaign, the happiness machines that they've installed in different parts of the world. This brand has been at the forefront of doing things differently and helping to build and connect people together in a very, very disruptive way. And I think that has made sure that this brand's different scores are constantly coming out, even though it's very ubiquitous, available everywhere. It has always been setting the trends, especially when it comes to connecting people. Doing this is not easy. It requires a lot of judgment and brand consistency. And I think a brand like Dove, which has to manage a very complex portfolio, a bath and body portfolio, a hair care portfolio, a deodorant portfolio, a men's portfolio, a baby portfolio, a teens portfolio. You can imagine this one brand has already about 6 or 7 ranges. Each range then has its own activation calendar. You can imagine if you were the chief marketing officer for Dove, what a complex program you need to run. And then the question is, how do you build consistency? As I said, over time, across touchpoints, across the different ranges of the architecture. And that is where this whole construct of having a strong brand communication idea, using that brand communication idea to build the different parts of the portfolio with strong stories is really what is needed in order to build these brands. Finally, when I look at salience is the multiplier. There is a science and art aspect to this. On the science side, of course, a lot of data and analytics to be used in defining the consumer journey, but also the investment model to make sure that there is a lot of return on investment thinking that goes behind which channels to invest behind and how do you fully fund a particular touch point. But where I want to focus on is on the art side of this. Because you can have a meaningful brand, you can have a brand that does things differently and stands out or sets the trend, but salience will be the multiplier. This is where it all comes together. And what I have learned over the years is good strong brands, they need to have what are called distinctive brand assets. Sound, pictures, colors, movement, tone of voice, all of which are then consistently used over time across all the different touch points. And I just put down for you again for the 3 brands that I was talking about, be it Nike and the swoosh, and the way the casting of the athletes are done, or the bottle shape, or the red color, or the mnemonics of Coke, or the bird logo, or the use of real talent talking in their own authentic voice for Dove. These are all distinctive brand assets that these brands have used consistently over time, whether they're advertising a Dove hair or a Dove Leo or a Dove skin cream. And I think that this is one of the important elements that helps to keep the whole brand together. Having said that, the easy part, and this is all the theory, all of us can learn it, all of us can get this done, and sometimes it's possible to do this in one campaign, in second campaign. But to do it again and again, over 5 years, over 10 years, over 20 years, the key glue that holds it all together at the enterprise level is indeed the hard work of building a culture of excellence and a culture where this whole habit is inculcated time and time again. And in my learnings and some of the practices that we have in HUL and in Unilever, I wanted to focus on 4 key elements of culture which leaders need to lean in for. The first one is what I call making it real. And making it real meaning really making sure that everybody is really connected to the front line and connected to our consumers. In Unilever, we have a program called Get on the Front Line, and this is an annual program where everybody, not just marketeers, but also everybody else, all our partners, all our support functions, are really spending time with consumers. We have this unwritten rule in HUL that if you don't do 100 hours of consumer work, then your word is not taken that seriously because you haven't grounded it in the reality of consumers. So making it real is super important. I think leaders play a very important role, and that's been one of the cultural elements that I definitely have experienced for myself when I was younger as a brand manager, and now when I am a leader, a senior leader in Unilever, which is how do you lead for now and forever. We have a saying in Unilever that he or she who briefs for the campaign must also judge the campaign, and there's a very high level of accountability to make sure that the process is clear. But equally, we have this program of leaders building leaders. We have this session called We Are in Brands. We have a lot of stewardship sessions where our senior marketers are sitting with our brand managers and taking them through and teaching them how to get what I have shared with you done on a consistent basis, because as you can see, there's a lot of judgment and a lot of experience that needs to be built into this. And this whole concept of leaders building leaders for the future is an important element of an organizational culture to keep getting it again and again over time. At the same time, it's important to embrace risks and to create a framework where some money can be parked, that senior leaders are personally looking at some of the experiments that are happening in the business so that they can be a kill, pivot and scale mindset, because as we said, if you're not taking risks, then you're not breaking the bounds of creativity. And finally, thriving partnerships. Over the years, I have personally built very, very strong relationships with my agency team members, be it the agency heads or my creative directors, also with our technology partners, be it in Meta, be it in Google, and working with them and inspiring them and getting them to bring the best that they have is important in order to get the storytelling that we want to have come through. So these would be 3 or 4 elements that I have learned over the years, which I want to share in terms of the culture that is required to get meaningful, differentiated and salient brands done again and again over time. And I want to end by bringing it back home to a brand that hit a very big milestone 2 years ago, Surf Excel. It's $1 billion brand. It's HUL's first $1 billion brand, one of India's largest brands. I think it's probably the only $1 billion brand that we have in India, even now, and global. And this is being built over 20 years with all the principles that I told you about. And I've had the pleasure of working with this brand and also inheriting a brand that has been very, very strongly built by very strong leaders. And I thought I'd share with you a video that brings the journey of the Surf Excel brand home before I conclude and get back to Q&A.
ढूंढते रह जाओगे।
ये सारा पिक्चर है ना?
दांत लगने से अगर कुछ अच्छा होता है तो दांत अच्छे हैं। self-success, that achievement. I think it's
बाकी ये तो प्यारे बच्चों के लिए है
के संग रंग आए
क्या कर रहे हो बच्चे
मुझे भी तो देखने में अच्छी लगी
Smart shot. $1 billion might be done, but our best is yet to come.
So this is where I want to stop and basically tell you that in the world of technology and digital, it's very important to remember that strong brands are built with very strong storytelling, and we need to make sure that our brands are meaningful, different and salient, and underpin it with an organization culture that is helping to build this over time, again and again and again. Because that is the biggest pain point that CMOs are facing. How do you build brands consistently over time in a context that has changed a lot? Thank you very much, and I'm now going to pass it back to the MC, who can